Create cool slideshows with audio. Today on Call for Help.
Welcome. It's time for Call for Help. I'm Leo Laporte, and this is the show where we help you understand technology. Not just use it, but choose it, use it, lose it, and abuse it. All of that in this particular program. Amazing. How do we do it? This is episode 327. May I introduce the woman, they say behind every good technical television show, there's a good woman. Amber MacArthur, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Leo.
Couldn't do it without her. And I love the gray and pink.
Oh, thank you.
That's pink is the new black.
It really is. This
Gray
is very
the old
hot
black.
pink, too.
So you got them. It's just bright.
It's a little bright, but I like it.
It's good. It's like a traffic warning. Stand back. Stand back. What are you going to do today?
Today I'm going to show off a program and a website called Slide Story. So it allows you to create your own slide stories with audio, which is kind of neat. And I know you've seen this on other sites before, but this is a little bit more interesting because the slide shows are actually really beautiful, really interactive, and they do a nice job of it. So we're going to check that out, look at some slide stories, and we're also going to make some of our own, which involve you getting punched out by Basil.
Oh my gosh. Is a slideshow and slide story the same thing? Or
it's a little bit different.
There's a slight difference?
Yeah, there's a slight difference.
We'll find out. Also, Steve Gibson is here. One of the things people ask Steve all the time as a security expert is, what's the best software firewall? And he has a new one that he is highly recommending. He says it's really good. So for those of you who like belt and suspenders, a little extra protection, your router and a software firewall, stay tuned. We'll tell you about a good one that's, by the way, free. Mike Hogue is here, too. He's our Flash expert, jinxtheblackcat.com and all that. He's going to talk about background and masking techniques in Flash. That's how, you could take somebody and put them anywhere, and green screen kind of stuff. So that should be a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Very interesting. We've got a good show. How do we do this every day? It's amazing. Of course, because we got a great staff of wonderful people behind the scenes. Let's get our first call in the air.
All right, we have Kevin on the webcam from Hamilton, Ontario.
Hello, Kevin.
How you doing, Leo?
Say hello to Nicola on camera one. Talking about great people behind the scenes. If it weren't for camera one, I'd have to use camera two, which I'm going to do right now. So what can we do for you today, sir?
Leo, I was wondering if you could tell me what the difference between audio, like a file size of an audio file versus, say, a video game file.
Well, you said a mouthful there. It could be a lot of huge difference. Depends on the size of the symphony. If it's you have Beethoven's Ninth, that could be bigger than a video game. If it's a very elaborate video game, of course, the video game can be bigger. Why do you want to know?
I bought my son a PSP, and they come with a 32 meg card.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't know what they're thinking on that.
Yeah, they tell you that that's enough for the video game memory storage.
Right. But
to use it as an MP3, it's useless.
Well, this explains why this PSP is on this desk here. Now I understand. I mean, the truth is, it's not storing the video game on that 32 megabyte card. It's just saving settings on those 32 megabyte card. The video game itself is stored on the UMD disk, the little disk that's in here. Same thing with any videos you watch. That's holding the game, and that's holding considerably more. Jen Cutter is here, our PSP expert. How big is a UMD? How many gigabytes is that? A couple of gigs?
I'm not sure exactly what the UMD size is.
1.4. I'm trying to remember what it was. But that 32 megs is not for the game.
No, the 32 megs is designed for the save files. And the save files are nice and small because they're just calling part of the data.
Right.
So for Lumines, it saves on the memory stick your high score, the skins you've unlocked, and basically your profile picture.
Might just be a few bytes.
Yeah, it's very, very small.
I know, don't still have the 32
No, I ditched that pretty quickly.
You have how big?
I went to the 1 gig.
A gigabyte. Is that the biggest you can put in there?
No, there's bigger. You can actually get an internal 4 gig hard drive now from data or data.
But you would only do that if you wanted to store video
lots
or
of
games.
Movies and music.
Yeah. I mean, not games, music on there. Mm-hmm. So does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah. Can you use a generic memory stick as opposed to the Sony memory stick?
You don't have to buy it from Sony, but it has to be a Magic Stick Duo, right?
Magic Stick Pro, Memory Stick Pro Duo.
Okay,
Magic Stick
great.
Pro Duo, but other companies make those.
Yeah, like SanDisk makes a great
Yeah.
set.
They're under license from Sony, I'm sure, because Sony owns the proprietary format. What kind did you buy?
I bought the SanDisk.
You like the SanDisk? I think SanDisk makes good stuff, and they probably are slightly cheaper than the Sony. And frankly, for all we know, Sony buys theirs from SanDisk, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. So yeah, so how old's your son?
He's 15, about a month. So
You're a good dad. You got him a PSP. I bet he loved that.
yeah, a broker one.
You brokered one?
Yeah.
What did he give you in return?
He's supposed to do some housework, so we'll see.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
My suggestion is get the housework first.
Yeah,
Get
I
it
think so.
up front, and then give him the PSP. Or you can hold on to the UMDs until he finishes the housework.
Yeah, maybe I can hold out for the memory stick on him.
Yeah, there you go. That's a nice gift, though. We got a PSP too, and I'll be honest. My son does not play it that much. He plays his Xbox more, but I think a 16-year-old the portability is. Do you still play games on yours, Jen, or do you just?
I play some games. I can't
Not a
find
lot,
the
do you?
1.5 firmware, so I can't play the newer games.
Yeah, and I think it's not the best. I mean, there aren't that many games
No,
out
I
there.
like portable, like when I'm on planes and stuff. My DS all the way.
Isn't that interesting? A lot of people are saying the Nintendo DS is the way to go. Hey, thank you for the call, Kevin.
Thanks
I
very much,
have a
Leo. Appreciate
PSP.
it.
I think you bought the right thing. My son looked at the DS and he went, I'm not playing that.
Exactly.
I'm not playing with that's for kids. But apparently I'm wrong. What game do you play on the DS?
I just got Mario Kart.
What, it's for kids. Coming up after the break, she's a kid. Steve Gibson has just returned from another security mission. This time, he's been searching around the jungles of the Amazon for the best personal firewall. He's found one that's way better than the Windows one, and it's absolutely free. Call for Help continues with a little security in just a moment. Stay right here. Steve Gibson is like a Link from the Legend of Zelda. Like, the Link. What? Except instead of being on a quest to find Zelda, you're on a quest to, track down and slay all the security threats.
That's my job.
Well, that was a long way to go for that. Okay. So in his quest for online security, he's naturally looking for a personal firewall that fits the bill. And in fact, you were the first to tell me about Zone Alarm, probably tell the world about Zone Alarm.
Right. And I think probably because I was concerned about the Windows file sharing problem, where all these Windows machines were sharing their hard drives on the internet without anyone knowing it, I really was early on in popularizing the idea that a personal firewall was something you really had to have.
But times have changed.
A lot. For one thing, and this is what I hear from people, the free firewalls are disappearing. Mm-hmm. There used to be like all the firewalls were free, and then you could pay something to get the upgraded one with the fancy features and so forth.
Zone Alarm was free for
exactly. And in fact, there's still a free version of Zone Alarm. The problem with Zone Alarm is that it has been trying to compete with Norton's SystemWorks Internet Security thing, which is this. I mean, and I don't want to piss off people who like the Norton semantic solutions, but they're just huge.
I'll be the first to say it. They're bloated.
Hundreds of megabytes, and suddenly, it takes up a big chunk of your machine just to do everything it's doing. It's filtering your email and all your web stuff and doing all this. I like a more purpose-specific solution. Zone Alarm was originally my favorite firewall. In fact, 2.6 was the sweet spot for Zone Alarm. Lord knows where they are now. But it, unfortunately, has become large and bloated also because they've been trying to, as I said, to keep track and point-for-point feature itis with Symantec.
What about Windows built-in firewall? Because now Windows has a firewall.
Well, and this is an issue of some contention. As you know, and we've spoken of this often, when you're behind a NAT router, any standard residential router, which most people use for sharing a single IP among multiple machines, it's an inherent firewall. It's protecting you just by nature from external intrusion into your system.
Maybe we should explain what a firewall is before we go too much farther, because I think we jumped right into this and assumed that everybody knows what a firewall is.
When you just plug a computer onto the internet, there's a set of capabilities which are very powerful, but vulnerabilities which are and can be a problem.
You don't want to allow traffic just to come in or out of your computer at will.
Right.
You want to kind of have some control over that.
And so traditional firewalls, and firewalls have been around for 20 years, up at the higher end corporate level or in large secure facilities, the idea being, I mean, and they've been in the movies and so forth, the idea being that traffic coming in hits this firewall and it's inspected. And if it doesn't allow, if it is misbehaving or not corresponding to expected traffic, it's just dropped right there. It never gets into your inner perimeter.
So it's a brick wall.
Yes.
Now, you said a router does that.
A router does that, and Service Pack 2's Windows firewall that's built into Windows XP, it does that too. And so that's perfect if you're going to take your laptop and like go plug it into a friend's network at home. You've basically brought your firewall with you. None of those, however, allow you to manage outgoing traffic.
They're only inspecting incoming traffic.
Well, inspecting and blocking.
Right.
They all inherently allow anything to get out.
Presuming that if it's coming from you, what do you need to block it for?
Because it's your computer,
right.
You installed stuff and so forth. Well, as it turns out, when I was beta testing the first version of Zone Alarm, that's how I discovered the first spyware that anyone knew about. This thing called tsadbot.exe was phoning home using my computer out through my internet connection.
So there's a very good argument for blocking out.
Zone Alarm popped up and said, "Do you want tsadbot.exe to talk on the internet?" It's like, what? No. So personal firewalls are this extra layer of protection, and what they offer beyond a NAT router or Windows built-in firewall in Service Pack 2 is management of the apps in your system, like Outlook and Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever you've got, Skype, anything doing the internet. You're able to say, these apps I'm permitting to talk on the internet, so that if something gets into your machine without your knowledge, or if you install something new, the firewall will pop up a little dialogue and say, wait a second, I haven't seen this before. You haven't told me one way or another how I should handle this.
Now, that comes at a cost. That's the upside, is it kind of monitors the outgoing traffic. What's the downside?
I think the reason that Microsoft doesn't do this is too many users are going to go, what?
Who? Who?
No, what? And not know whether to answer yes or no.
Well, we've heard people complain about that. When they first put Zone Alarm on, you see all these alerts and stuff, and you go, oh my God, what's going on?
Yes, and it's a recognized problem.
There's also the issue of slows down your computer, this bloatware issue you're talking about.
It's more running.
It can cause reliability issues, and it can cause unknown problems that you can't explain. They can't get online for some reason, or something won't work, and you don't know why.
VoIP applications often have like a hard time working through a firewall. So there is a downside.
So if you understand that, but you still want this belt and suspenders, and you want to run a software firewall, what do you recommend?
Kerio.
Kerio. K-E-R-I-O.
K-E-R-I-O. This
isn't new. I've heard of this before.
Oh, it's been around for years. What happened was that for whatever reason, the Kerio company that was publishing it just decided they didn't want to do that anymore. They announced that it was going to be discontinued and it was going to go away. A really good guy, Alex Eckelberry at Sunbelt Software,
now known as Sunbelt and Suspenders,
down in Florida. He bought Kerio just because he liked it so much. And in the process, he reduced the price. Now, there is a free version that does everything we've just been talking about.
It blocks outgoing traffic?
It does all that, and that's for free. It used to be, for the paid version, was like $45, I think. He's dropped it to $19.95.
Good price.
And through the end of March, through March 31st, it's $14.95.
Those are U.S. dollars.
U.S. dollars. Yeah. So an extremely good price for a feature-packed firewall.
Is it fairly lightweight and fairly effective and
efficient? Yes. And there was another one called Tiny, and they were my two favorites.
I used to love Tiny.
Tiny did go away. Yeah. Kerio has now been picked up by Sunbelt Software and is going to continue into the future.
Show us. Let's take a look at
it. It has a bunch of tabs. You have different modes that you're able to choose on the left and tabs on the top. And this is showing, for example, the applications that the firewall knows about, that it is and is not permitting traffic to and from. So it allows this application level granularity.
And there's a little question mark next to OpenVPN, so it doesn't yet know whether that's okay.
Exactly, and it'll ask me, so you're able to say, always allow, always disallow, or ask me every time. And so you're able that way to kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And we're able then to talk about standard different traffic types and define networks. I moved this little laptop around a lot, so it's learned about all kinds of different networks hooked to different LAN adapters. And then it's got some sophisticated sort of higher end modes. It'll also, beyond just the stuff that we've been talking about, it will allow you to do pop-up blocking and cookie blocking. And for example, when this is running, I'll go to a site and I'll have a page that loads a lot quicker than usual, because if I look at the page, it says ad replaced by KPF, Carrier Personal Firewall. Ad replaced by KPF. So it's blocked the ads, so I get the page much more quickly so that I'm not having to download those images.
So if you're using other pop-up blocker software, something like Proxometron, you might just use this instead. You get the additional firewall and the pop-up blocking.
And those are available in the paid version. You get them for 30. You get them for 30 days, and then that stuff goes away unless you want to pay your $14.95 US.
Sounds like it's well worth it.
Well, people say, Steve, what's your favorite firewall? I was doing research earlier last year for 2 new versions of Leak Test. 6 million copies of Leak Test have been downloaded. It's like always been the most popular thing I've done because it checked to see about this outbound blocking behavior. I wanted to do some next versions, so I did some more advanced testing, like could I use DNS to sneak things through? What else could I do? The top 2 firewalls were Tiny and Carrier, better than Zone Alarm, Symantec, Cygate, all the others that are out there. Those are my top 2, and here's one that's now been bought by a great company and is going to be offering it into the future.
So our general recommendation still is, if you've got a router, you've got a very good inbound firewall. That's probably all most people need. If you want to protect your LAN against intrusions that you could bring into your network from a laptop that got infected in an outside world, turn on the Windows firewall. Those, for most people, are sufficient. But if you do feel the need for belt and suspenders for outbound protection...
If you like to have the sense that you know exactly... you're able to see exactly which programs are communicating. Yeah. Some people don't want to be bothered. Other people just like to have a grip on their machine. And Carrier is what I recommend for that. Absolutely and at a great price now.
Is it Kerio.com?
I'm sure you could put Carrier into a search engine.
Right.
But it's sunbelt-software.com.
Got it.
And that'll take you right to it.
And of course, Steve's site is grc.com, where you can get Leak Test and all his other great security programs and the wonderful, world's best, and there's no question about it, disk maintenance and recovery utility, the fabulous SpinRite, which I use all the time. And of course, our show notes have all the information, including links to the Carrier firewall at callforhelptv.com. Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate your coming up and telling us about
this. It's really the right one for people who need it, to want a little extra protection and know what's going on.
Yep, going to get it right away. Here's our daily Next Tech quiz question of the day. Test your brain power on this one. In which city did a private school ban iPods on campus? Munich, Toronto, London, or Sydney? Get to the website, give us the answer. Where were iPods banned? We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for our Mac tip of the day. Here's how you can add an alarm in iCal for a certain event. All you have to do is double-click on the event, and then go down here to Alarm, and then you have the option to get a message when the event starts, a message with sound, email, and there's other options as well. And now we have another caller. We have Paul on the webcam from Sutton, Massachusetts.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
It's so great to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you. It's nice to see you, too. Nice picture.
Oh, thank you. I've worked on it.
Yeah, have you?
Put some extra lighting in, Leo.
It's fantastic. You did a wonderful job. I think if you're ever looking for work, we can come up here and you can help us in our studio.
Oh, great.
It's very smooth, very even lighting, don't you think? You're not wearing makeup, are you, Paul?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Just teasing. What can I do for you today?
Well, I have a laptop with Wi-Fi, and sometimes I go into hotel lobbies or the library, and I'm wondering if I can keep my passwords on a thumb drive, plug it into the laptop, and then copy and paste screen names and passwords.
Your idea being that way people couldn't see what you were doing?
That they're not going to see me typing or...
Well, that's true. They won't see you typing, and if you had a keystroke logger on your system, it would prevent the keystroke logger from seeing what you're doing. However, since you're on an open wireless access point, everybody else can see what you're doing.
Oh, they can.
Yeah. I mean, the password after you've pasted it in and pressed submit, unless you're on a secure site, is now being sent out through the airwaves on an unsecured wireless access point, so anybody who's got Ethereal or one of the other monitoring programs can just say, here's Paul's password floating by, let me grab it. Let me grab it. So it doesn't matter if you paste it in, you keep it on a thumb drive, as long as you're sending it, you're sending it.
Okay.
Now, this is an issue, actually. Unsecured wireless access points can be a real security issue. My personal greatest fear is a lot of people use unsecured email passwords. They check their email every 10 minutes or so. Every time you do that, it's being sent out in the clear. And all a guy has to do is get it once. He can go home. He's got it. When's the last time you changed your email password?
Oh, a long time ago.
Ever. Right? So that means for the rest, until you change it, he could get your email anywhere. It doesn't have to even be accessing your wireless. He can get it. He can go home and get it. So I think that's something people really ought to be aware of. Now, Steve, we did about, I think 30 or 40 Security Now episodes, it felt like, all about this topic, securing yourself wirelessly. And Steve convinced me to get something called Hotspot VPN. And I love it. It is it's not free, $8.88 a month service, but it gives you essentially a virtual private networking so that your transactions are completely encrypted. Steve, you had some other programs. There are free programs, but they're hard to set up.
Actually, no, the iPig program from iopus.com.
iopus.com.
That's completely free. The performance is not quite as good as you can get with Hotspot VPN for some technical reasons. But for doing things like checking your email, iOpus has a great solution. It's called iPig. It stands for Private Internet Gateway. But it is a VPN technology that encrypts all the traffic going out of your computer out onto the Internet. It gets to their server where it's decrypted. So while it's in the air, in wireless mode, and even going through the hotspot system, it's completely encrypted. Hotspot VPN, as you suggest, is sort of the more professional, full performance.
I love it.
And you can use that for everything.
I get into the hotel. I did it last night. I get into the hotel. I log in. You still have to log into the hotel network first. Right. Then I double click Hotspot VPN. I turn it on, and I am completely safe at that point. I don't have to worry about anybody snooping on what I'm doing. So, yeah, I like your thinking, Paul. You're worried about this stuff.
Right.
But this is how you need to secure it, is with a virtual private network.
Okay, sounds like that's what I got to get.
Yep, and I would suggest anybody who uses open Wi-Fi access points look into this solution. Or, there are other things you can do. For instance, you should, just consider everything you're doing is public. And don't do anything you wouldn't want anybody else to see. I certainly recommend, and many email providers allow you to do this, using a secure link to your email provider, SSL. I do that with my email provider. So that way, Gmail will let you do this, by the way, many ISPs. So that way, even though I'm in an unsecured area, my password is being sent secured. And that's a good idea. At the very least, I would do that.
Yeah, and even people who are in a hotel situation where they're on a huge network.
I'm not on Wi-Fi, but...
Even though you're not wireless, you're connected to every other computer in the hotel.
Yeah, the guy in the room next door can see what I'm doing.
And there are people who have run sniffers on their hotel connections and picked up hundreds of email passwords a day.
So iPig is iopus.com/iPig. That one's free. If you want to subscribe, as Mikey does, as I do, and I think you even have a subscription, don't you, Steve, to Hotspot VPN. It's hotspotvpn.com. Mike, you like it, right? $8.88 a month. I think it's well worth it.
And Leo, we have audio files now. We did a series with our Security Now podcast on VPN technology.
Yep.
For anybody who's interested in some deeper background and some heavy technology could certainly listen to our Security Now coverage.
Yeah, that's at http:// I don't know why I said that. I haven't said that in years. GRC, just for fun. grc.com/securitynow.htm.
Oh, I listen to it all the time.
Oh, Paul, you're great. I appreciate it. Paul, you're smart. He cares about security. I wish more people were like that,
Good
Paul.
thing.
Thanks so much for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Great to talk to you.
Right,
Take care,
bye-bye.
Paul. We'll be back in just a minute. If you can't bring all your friends and family on your upcoming trek through Costa Rica, why not? Why can't you? Why not build a slideshow to take your adventures back home with you and share them with your family and friends? Or even better, why not a slide story? When Amber MacArthur returns in just a little bit, we'll show you how to snap, post, and narrate in just a bit. Stay here. Time people have used the internet to kind of store their stuff, but it's become so much more. We've shown you how to post photos on Flickr to create a Flickr, gallery. We've showed you how to record audio with Audio Blog and other free tools. It could be kind of cool if you could have, a slideshow, a gallery, and then the audio with it, wouldn't it? Well, that's what's the whole idea behind Slide Story. Amber's going to show us the latest in uploading your pictures. Not just a place to store them, but a place to create something.
Yeah, you can create something. You can create these really beautiful interactive slideshows where you can record your audio. So it's almost like having a podcast, but you have kind of photos going along. And I know you can do this in the new GarageBand kind of with enhanced
there's lots
podcast.
of things you can do, yeah.
But if you're not a Mac user, this is a great option. And also the program that you use to do Slide Story is a Windows-only program.
Okay.
But
so this is a program.
Yeah, this is a program, but there's also a website where you can go and you can explore different stories that people have already written.
So what's the difference, I asked you at the beginning of the show, between a slideshow and a slide story?
I think with slideshow, typically people think there's no audio with
maybe
the slide.
Some music, and you're watching pictures go by.
Yeah, there can be audio, but I think, they just came up with Slide Story as the name for the website.
Because you're narrating it.
You're narrating, and it really is like you're telling a story, and there's a lot more feeling that you're sharing it because it's online.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at a site, or a story that someone's created about surfing underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, which you would appreciate, which I think is insane.
It is.
So we'll take a look at that and just listen to a few seconds, and then we're going to do our own.
When we pulled up, we saw this wave barrel through. It must have been about 6 foot, and it's pretty clean. It actually started to break a little to the left of where the pack was, and we were wondering how come nobody was actually over there.
This guy's a total surfer.
It's a really clean wave coming through.
So we won't watch the whole thing. It's
really
it's probably about 5 or 6 minutes long. But the idea is he goes and he takes a bunch of pictures of this wave breaking and then of people surfing on the wave, and then just kind of talks throughout the duration of it, and then you can watch an entire story. And there's a bunch of other great stories on Slide Story. But we are going to create our own Slide Story.
Okay.
We are. So you're going to have to wear this handy little headset here.
Oh, all right. This is our microphone, huh?
It's our microphone.
Okay.
So what I've done, the other day on Call for Help, we had kind of a sports show that we did.
Crazy.
And I've taken some photos from Sean's Flickr site and put them up. So there's about 6 photos, 6 slides, and I'm going to get you to record the audio on them. Fortunately, I've created these little cue cards.
Did you tell me what to say?
Yes, you can create them in Slide Story. It's going to block kind of some of the images.
Oh, good. I have a little teleprompter.
Yes.
Now I can do it.
Okay, so we're going to start here. If we just can see my screen. Mm-hmm. Then you see this is the cue card on the left, and then on the right is the picture.
All right.
So what we're going to do is click the red button, and then you can read off the cue card if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay. Say okay.
It was a quiet morning on the set.
Go to the next one. And then we got
Where's
another
my
cue card.
Oh. Leo finally got his dream wardrobe.
Close that. Stop it. And then we go to the next one.
This is kind of fun.
So click your card. You need your cue card.
The team got together to talk strategy.
Close.
This is recording all the little stuff we're doing in the middle, but all right. Okay. Can I have my cue card, please?
Getting it.
Thank you, Ms. MacArthur. I need to record.
Okay.
Leo adjusts his helmet.
You're good at this, Leo. There's going to be all this talking in the background. We're doing it. Okay.
Basil decides to test his gloves. Ow!
Stop that. And then this is our last one.
Oh, my God.
You can make this one up on your own. How about that?
What day is it? What week is it? Where am I? Who am I? What happened?
And we'll stop that. Okay, so what we've done is we've recorded all the little pieces of audio. We kind of are going a little bit faster than you would actually want to go if you created your own story.
You might want to take a little more time.
You might want to take a little.
It's interesting, though. They don't just do the slideshow and you talk during the slideshow. You actually have the time to kind of think about it.
You have the time to think about it. And again, you can use the cue cards of recording it. And obviously, when you use the cue cards,
I like the cue card.
The cue cards are great. And it's not as though that information goes up on the website, even though you're seeing it on the page. So there's two things you can do when you create the story. You can preview it before you put it online, which is something that we're going to want to do, and then you can publish it online. So I imagine it's something like what we've just done. You probably want to redo some of the segments because I was chatting.
And you can only publish it on their site.
Yes, on slidestory.com. So you have to publish it directly to their site. You sign up, but it's completely free. So we'll take a look at the preview of our little story here. We'll click on preview.
It was a quiet morning on the set.
I hear Amber.
This is kind of fun.
That didn't work out so well.
Team got together to talk strategy.
I get the idea.
Yeah, you get the idea. And then it goes to the end, and then...
What day is it? What week is it? Where am I? Who am I? What happened?
So the idea is that you do these a little bit more, a little tighter, and then you have an entire story. And you can see...
You can't edit, but you can take each individual slide and recut it.
Yes, you can recut it.
If you don't get it right, you just redo it.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I've noticed, because I've watched a few of these on Slide Story, is that people tend to have long pauses, and the best ones are the ones where they are really, really fast, unlike us, where they move right along. So, and it's really nice, and I think that the way that they've displayed everything is also really nice. It's a very slick interface in terms of watching the Slide Stories.
Let me see the website again. It's called slidestory.com.
Yeah, it's called slidestory.com.
So we were using the software they provide, but this is the page of the website. This is the page,
and that we just watched the surfer underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, and the software that you use to create your own slide story, as I mentioned, is only Windows only right now, and the whole site's in beta, so they're just kind of starting it.
Maybe Are there a lot of slide stories on it?
Yeah, there's quite a few. They have arts, entertainment, hobbies, lifestyle, all these different stories that people have created. It's just fun little stuff. So, just taking the regular slideshow and taking it a step further and putting it online and sharing it with everybody.
So you can send it to grandma or whatever. That's cool. For more information about creating your own slide story, visit callforhelptv.com to share your idea for a website or a free file with us.
You can email me at amber@callforhelptv.com.
We'll be right back with a lot more in just a little bit. But first, let's take a peek behind the scenes of what stories they're telling in the control room.
10, 9, 8, 3, roll commercial. 1, 8.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for our Skype tip of the day. Here's how you can change your photo in Skype on your user profile. Go to Account, click on My Profile, and then down at the bottom of the page you'll see this square. Click on Change, and then click a photo that you want to insert there. Click Open, and then Apply, and you'll have a tiny icon beside your Skype name. And now we have another caller. We have Chris on the line from Yorba Linda, California.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Leo. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. How are things in Yorba Linda?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Weather's beautiful. Sun is shining.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're making me jealous, man. What can I do for you, Chris?
Well, I have a laptop, and I have been having problem getting on wireless online.
Okay. What's happening?
Well, I've got the signal, but when I go to the Internet Explorer, it's not coming up.
Okay.
It's a blank screen.
Okay. So Windows or Mac?
It is Windows.
Windows. Okay. So the first thing to see is, am I actually getting an internet address from my wireless access point? It won't surf if you don't actually get an internet address. So the signal just says, yeah, I see a signal, but it doesn't tell you anything about whether the connection's happening. It's kind of analogous to say, yeah, I've got a wire connecting me. I'm getting lights lighting up on both sides of my Ethernet cable, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you're getting traffic between the two. So probably the easiest way to do that is to open your wireless control panel. Do you have a what we need to do is show a wireless control panel. And I'm afraid this is a desktop, so it's not Wi-Fi. I don't think we have any Windows laptops set up. Maybe Mikey can get one set up fairly quickly. Can you? You think? He's rushing around. We'll see if we can do it. So what you want to do is you want to see if you're getting connectivity. It should tell you in the little tray down here, it should say limited or no connectivity. Do you ever get that message?
Yes, it says connected.
It says connected.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom. That's what the problem is.
Good.
Connected.
You do see connected or you do not?
It says connected.
Good. What that means is I got an IP address. So that means that in all likelihood, that's not the issue. it is getting an IP address. Now, you probably want to see what the IP address is. So I'm going to go to Start, Run, and I'm going to type CMD. That will open up. I would if I had a keyboard that worked. That will open up a command line window, and then you're going to type ipconfig. I don't know why, but for some reason my keyboard is no longer working. But you're going to type, so this, I basically can't show you anything. Imagine, if you will, that I'm typing the words ipconfig and then space, or actually just hit return, and that should tell you whether you, Mike's going to see if he can figure out, or Sean is going to see if he can figure out what's going on down here. That will tell you whether you can, are you getting an IP address, and what IP address are you getting. So let me try it now. So you press the button there. Let's see if I can type it. No, still no keyboard. Well, just don't worry about it. Who needs a keyboard? I do this on radio all the time. Pretend this is radio. No pictures.
Okay.
No pictures. So you want to see if you're getting an IP address. It should be in the range 192.168.1. something. After you type ipconfig. You're following me so far?
Yes, I am.
All right. If you're not, if it's a 169.254, for instance, that means you're not getting internet connectivity or an IP address from your router. Do you have the wireless router is supposed to assign an address to your computer. If you are, then there's other issues going on, and that's when you're going to stay in this command line. You're going to try a command called ping. Okay? Ping tests whether you're able to get outside to the outside world, and then it tests whether you're getting DNS lookup. And that's probably what's failing here, Chris. So you type ping and space, and you could say ping yahoo.com, for instance. If you get a response back from yahoo.com, then, in fact, everything's working and it's something wrong with Internet Explorer. If you don't get a response back from yahoo.com, then you can enter in a number. I should have a number for you, a good number that you could use, an IP address for maybe yahoo.com or something like that. Here, I'll tell you what. Let me do this over on the Mac. I will ping yahoo.com, and I'll tell you what address to enter in. So the idea of DNS resolution is that if you have a name, the DNS server, the domain name server, goes out, looks up the IP address, because that's ultimately what you need to surf, and gives it back to you, and then you can make a connection with that browser. So if that's failing, that could be a problem. So when I type ping, and let me actually go over to the Mac so you can see what I'm doing here, because I can do this. It's unplugged. Never mind, I can't show you what I'm doing. This whole thing's falling apart here right in front of my eyes. So I'm going to ping yahoo.com, and I'll give you an address. So the address that we're getting here is 66.94.234.13. So you ping yahoo.com. If that works, again, Internet Explorer is a problem. If it doesn't work, then try 66.94.234.13. If you get a response back from that, then you know that you've got internet connectivity, but your DNS is not set up properly. Usually that's an issue of the settings, either in your router, most likely in your router, or on your system. So what we're doing is we're kind of doing this step-by-step diagnostic, trying to figure out where it's failed. The way to think of this is a layer cake. There are 7 layers to network connectivity, starting with a physical layer, an actual connection, either a cable or the radio signal. You've got the physical layer because you're seeing the radio signal, and then it goes higher and higher up through protocol, up all the way up to application layer. So we're going to test these layers one by one. So the first thing is am I getting an IP address? If you are, good. That means that much is working. The next thing is, well, can I get onto the internet? That's where you type a ping. If you type ping yahoo.com and you get it back, yes, I'm getting on the internet, then we know it's Internet Explorer. You might want to try Firefox or another browser, see if it works. If that does not work, yahoo.com, then you ping the numbers to see if DNS is working. We're slowly trying to troubleshoot each of the different parts. As you can see, there's a lot of parts that make network access work properly. Have you tried another browser on that computer, just out of curiosity?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there might be one to try Firefox, download Firefox. Oh, you can't get online, though, can you? So I can
if I plug in and they do that way.
Okay, you might try putting Firefox. Sometimes Internet Explorer will stop working for a variety of reasons. Ever use any child lock software, stuff like that, or security software?
No.
Norton Internet Security, ever try stuff like that?
No.
No. Firewall software?
Oh, yeah, I actually have the Norton virus protection.
That virus, no, but the firewall software. I mean, not the firewall software, the Norton Internet Security. But any firewall, sometimes security software can stop the connectivity. So those are all things to try. I didn't give you any one answer. I wish I could, Chris. I don't know enough. We have to just try it and see. Okay?
Hey, thank you so much.
I thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Great show. I appreciate it.
All right. Keep watching. Now, if you're looking for a backup of a website, well, you think you're saving each page of a website is a pain. You could do that, with a web sucker. Mikey's got a software solution that'll suck up your websites faster than a Hoover vacuum. It's called
Site Sucker.
I want him to say that.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is not just going to save a page at a time.
No.
This is going to save the whole darn thing.
It's going to save the whole darn thing, and it depends on how many levels you want. So you select the web page you want. So let's say Leoville.com, and I have it 2 levels. So it will go to the 2 levels, 2 links
2
clicks in for every web page that's on that first.
Now that's important. You save too many levels, you're going to have
humongous.
Huge.
So right now I'm backing up Leoville.com because I know it's going to be changing soon.
This is things that we really hate as webmasters when people do this.
So
is this Mac only?
This is Mac only. And so I just backed up. I typed in Leoville.com. It saw it. It downloaded all the pictures. Everything that's on there, and now I have a permanent copy of Leoville.com, even when it changes in the future.
Which it will, because we're getting it redesigned. So you're going to know what it looked like before the redesign.
Exactly. I'll just do one real quick here. Let's do
plastictrees.net. Go 18 layers deep.
Let's do Apple.com.
There you go. Site Sucker. It's absolutely free. You can find it on our website, callforhelptv.com. Go ahead. Just bring Apple to its knees.
I spelled Apple wrong, too.
Bring it to its knees. Look at this. I don't know what he's downloading it, but it's aapple.com. Thank you, Mike. The webmaster is going, what happened? I have lots of people visiting all of a sudden. With everyone trying to become a Flash expert these days, you're going to want to find ways of making your work stand out. Coming up next, Mike Hogue, our Flash expert, will show us how to spice up Flash animation backgrounds with some cool techniques. But first, one more chance to take our Next Tech quiz question of the day. Thank you, Next Tech. Which city had a private school that banned iPod use on campus? Was it Munich, Toronto, London, or Sydney? Get to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues. Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you which city did a private school ban iPods on campus. I'm thinking it was got to be Toronto, but I don't know. Where was it? No, not Toronto. It was Sydney. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't blame them. Those kids with iPods, that's so annoying. So annoying. One of the coolest features of Flash animation is being able to watch the evolution of a project or tweak any part of it at any time. So let's say you have a sweet design, but you want to see what it would look like in another setting. Boom, you can just move it right there. It's really a very powerful program. Mike Hogue, the creator of Jinx the Black Cat, is here to show us how he does this. You were a professional animator in the old school. Yeah. You learned how to do that in the old school.
Yeah, all my training came from traditional drawing techniques.
So you're bringing this to Flash.
Yeah, and after that, just found ways to make what I knew how to do in drawing happen in Flash.
So here's a frame of the Pink Panther.
Yeah, this is a traditional animation cell that would have been painted and put under the camera and photographed for the show. And what I'm using this for is a traditional technique called a match line. Match line is basically the animator drew the line of the edge on this background, so that when this animation cell is laid down on top of the background under the camera, it will appear that the character is behind the wall. And so it's...
So he isn't really, they drew a full Pink Panther, but they're just blocking it off a little bit with a wall.
Right. Now, with Flash, you can have the full character there, but you can tell it that there's a wall there.
You're behind a wall.
You're behind it. So you can do this with anything. Like you can do it with a picture of yourself and put yourself into a background so you're behind a table, for example.
This works because Flash, like Photoshop, is layers. Every object can be in a layer, right?
It is.
So you can put stuff behind it and in front of it.
Right. And you can certainly take like a table, like I said, you could take that and put it on its own layer so it's in front of the animation layer. But it's easier to just use one of the easiest techniques in Flash, which is a shadow mask. And that's what I'll walk you through here. With I'll use So
you don't build things in layers? You often just do this, you just kind of mask it off?
It depends on what the scene calls for, but I use this all the time. You can use it for everything. But I'm just going to draw some squiggles across here. Now, that's on a layer above the animation, and I just right-click and select mask, and it's only going to show what's behind it. So you can do this for transition from photo to photo, if you wanted to do a slideshow, for example. So for this thing here, I've got Jinx.
So any drawing can be used as a mask, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And any background, and like... with this example, I've put Jinx on the couch over here.
So this is more tricky because this is a photo, right? You didn't have this all in layers, so you had to figure out a way to put Jinx in it.
So I could either separate the chairs and the table in the foreground onto separate layers, or I can just mask it off as far as the area that you're going to see the character in.
So Jinx is going to move through this orange area.
Exactly, and I'll just lock that off. You have to lock it in order to be able to view it.
So Jinx is in a separate layer, isn't he? Oh, look at that.
Sorry there.
That's cute. Is Jinx in a separate layer?
Yes, he is.
He is.
He is on, and the skateboard is on a layer as well.
If you didn't do the mask, what would happen? Would you be able to see
I'll show you exactly what will happen. I can just delete the mask, and he's going to appear to be right in front of the chair.
The chair?
Right over the table.
Okay. You want him to go behind the chair.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do this with anything. Like even if you made an animated character using a photo, like I've shown in previous tutorials, you can put yourself into the background if you want. Using this technique, you can also put an animation right into a TV set or a computer monitor that's in a photograph. So I've taken a screenshot of the show here, and you just... it's like...
Now, I know Jinx didn't call.
I don't know. It says his name on the monitor.
Wow, you even got his name in there. That's cool.
Well, my apologies to Maureen, who I covered over to do this. There she is.
There's Maureen. So that's the mask.
Yeah.
There's Jinx. Now, otherwise, Jinx's whole body would appear, so you have to say where Jinx can appear.
Exactly. And I've just taken off the mask there, which you can see he's fully there in the image. That's the mask that I had to draw, and as soon as I lock it out, he appears to be behind it.
Very
and it's simply because I've selected it to play the mask.
Wow. We have another minute. Maybe you could show us this reflection thing.
Sure.
That was kind of cool.
Because you can easily use it for reflections as well. Now, all I've done is taken all the animation of Jinx and turned it into a symbol that I've described before.
Right.
So you can have that on as many times as you want. I've got the main animation here of Jinx, and then I also have a reflective
You just turned it upside down.
Flipped it vertical, squished it a little for the perspective, and as soon as I run it here...
So now it's more than a reflection. It's a moving... Oh, that is so slick!
And if you also notice, the puddle is shape morphing, so it doesn't. You don't have to use just a still object.
The mask can move as well.
Right, and when it gets to the end, it'll pop back, so it's like it's starting over again. But I'll just move this down a little bit.
And it's little tips like that make it so much more realistic. Yeah. People don't know what they're seeing, but unconsciously they say, oh, yeah, it makes sense to me. There's a reflection. The reflection's moving. Wow, very slick. Mask is the key.
Yeah.
It's a really neat thing that you can do.
And it's really useful for website technique and special effects, all kinds of stuff that I'll show in another segment.
Great. Mike Hogue is the king of Photoshop. Your dad liked it when I called you that, right? The king! We decided to call him Mr. Flash. No, I call him King of Flash.
No.
Mr. Flash is back. No, you don't want that as your...
That's probably not a
Mike,
good thing.
Mr. Flash Hogan? No. We could have like a raincoat. No, maybe not. Although you could use masking for that, too, as well. You can find Mike and see samples of his work on the web at a great site. It's really fun if you like cats, or even if you don't. JinxTheBlackCat.com is wonderful. And, of course, on our website, callforhelptv.com. One more final segment coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, that's cool. Every time we do stuff like the slide stories or the Jinx and the photo, it always makes me want to run out and do stuff on my computer.
I know. There's so much stuff that I want to do and build, and there's just not enough time to do any of it.
I think about my kids. They have all of these toys and tools at their beck and call. I mean, they're sitting there with amazing computer power that people would have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for just a few years ago. And I wonder if it's too many choices.
I think it is.
It might be overwhelming,
A little bit.
Just give them one thing.
It's hard to do your homework when you have that much stuff.
I'll give you that. Hey, I have an assignment for you. Go to our website, callforhelptv.com, and fill out the form so we can get you on the show. If you've got a problem with your personal confuser,
don't whine,
don't moan,
don't yell,
just call for help. We'll see you next time.